6:15. Ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba ba ya ba 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 ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba 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 ya ba 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 bam ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba ya ba 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 ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba 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 ya ba 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 oh ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba ya ba 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 ya ba bim bam ya ba bim bam ya ba 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 ya ba ba ba
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to those who are joining us here in our sanctuary and to those of you joining from home. We have a number of celebrations tonight. One we'll mention now. It's Mary Whitmer's birthday. She's here on her birthday. And it's a big birthday. We don't announce numbers unless you're over 90, which she definitely isn't. She's 70, so there she can announce it.
Awesome.
So it's a good, 7 is a good Jewish number, so you should spend it at the synagogue. So happy birthday to you and many, many more. And it's nice to be here together on Shabbat. And so we'll begin with our candle blessing. It's found on page 2 in our prayer books, and we invite you to join along.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalik ner shel Shabbat.
Begin our service, page 10, with the words of Hine Matov. We are thrilled to be able to be here together, and we begin Shabbat in song. Please join us.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Page 20, we welcome in Shabbat with the words of Lechadodi.
Lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela.
שמו אחד, לשמעו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה ומחשבה תפילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise and face the entrance to your home or to our sanctuary. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובסוף עולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Page 26, we remain standing.
יקדע ויקדע שמי רבה, ויעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחייתך בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, במרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלמה מעלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי הקדוש ברוך הוא, לעילם יקרא ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירה בעלמא, במרו אמן.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without God's presence. We declare that our prayer formally begins, page 28, our call to worship, Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'id, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'id.
Page 30, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishaneh itim. Blessed are you, God, who allows us to take note that not only does day turn to night, but so too as we look out into the world, we absorb with wisdom the way in which our world continues to change. May those changes be a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Words of Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavita, Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Shachbenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema, page 34 and 35.
By the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign.
On page 40 and 41, we turn now to sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, a song that tells us of God's miracles, of an earth that's protected, an earth that is cherished, something that's a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land that was once ravished by war, that's now quiet and content, her soldiers home, to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, a song our people experienced, a song of peace. Page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malachutecha rovanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, Ze'elianu ve'amaru, Ze'elianu ve'amaru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. On the next page, Hashkivenu, our prayer for peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai.
Please rise as we share the words of our Amidah, beginning on page 46, words that recall the stories of our ancestors. Some of the stories we'll hear this evening as we're still in the book of Genesis in our Torah, but they lead right up to words that we'll share silently, words of our own hearts. Page 46.
Adonai, Sifatai tiftachu v'yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ezrat Tzara Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav LeHoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Meimid Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha sela Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Page 59, a prayer for our gratitude in this world. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, God, the moon and stars that you set in place, we are reminded to ask, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? Mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty, giving us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. Page 60, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarich et Amcha Yisrael b'chol et uv'chasha Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Let's take a moment for silent meditation.
Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu.
Shabbat Shalom. One of the great lessons that parenthood seems to continue to teach me and my wife is that it is speckled with moments of departure. Perhaps the most obvious and most celebrated is when our kids move out of our home at some point, which seems to be a moving target for many. But we talk a lot about when kids leave and go to college as the moment of departure. The truth is, though, as I've experienced, especially as one who's yet to send a kid off to college, is that there are many, many moments of departure. We continue to experience them as we send our kids out into the world. The first day of preschool, dropping your kid off for the first time. The first time getting on a school bus. The drop-off at a friend's house for their first sleepover, the first night they won't spend in your home. Or leaving your kid for weeks at summer camp. Our kids depart us many, many times before the well-celebrated age of 18, an age we talk about as the age of independence. And since I get to have a decent window into your lives, I've come to realize they continue to depart us many, many times after the age of 18. After college, they depart to create a new family, adding new trusted adult voices to their life, and we mourn the way perhaps that they would rely on us. They move not just from our homes, but sometimes from our city. And of course, there's also a departure, a separation that seems to happen as they start to tackle their own problems in their own way without a need for our advice. The role of parenting, the role of loving others for that matter, children or not, is a role that always begins with moments of welcoming, of adding a new person to our life, but it strikes me that it also has many, many moments of subtracting, where a person we love in small ways or big ones departs from us to pursue their own life. That is the story Cantor Kathy will chant in a few moments. It is not a news story. It's right there in Genesis. It's the story of Rebekah departing her family's home to be wed to Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah. Here's how the Torah describes her moment of departure. Genesis chapter 24, verses 58 to 60. What Cantor Kathy will chant in a few moments. They called to Rebekah, her family, and said to her, "Will you go with this man?" She said, "I will." So they sent off their sister Rebekah and her nurse along with her, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, "Sister, may you grow into thousands of myriads. May your offspring seize the gates of their enemies." And she left. For a book often criticized for being archaic, I find it to be an incredibly relevant, progressive passage, and a good one for us to lean on when we face those moments of departure. First, Rebekah's family asks for her consent, and the Torah records her answer. Part of allowing those we love to make healthy departures is allowing ourselves not to make decisions for them, but to allow them to make their own decisions, and for us, sometimes not to even offer our opinion. Easy for me to say, hard for us to do. We just had this in our house. I'll preserve a little bit of my child's privacy, but we'll say, that'll probably be the first time I did that, by the way. She's old enough to tell me that now. I will say that she had a decision to make about an extracurricular activity that Carrie and I both had very strong feelings about. Watching your child deliberate and try to make a decision for herself, when you've made similar decisions hundreds of times in your life, seems to me a slightly cruel and unusual punishment. And sometimes we can't help ourselves. We give in to our urge to speak up and direct those who we love toward the answer that we want for them. But when we're strong enough, when our jaw is able to endure and hold our tongue back, as we bite our tongue when we do that, and they make their own decision, when we ask them what they want, as Rebekah's family did, we prove to them that we trust them. And we remind them that we are not the expert in their life. In fact, we teach them that they are the expert in their own life. But even as we try to bite our tongues and encourage them to listen to what some would call the still small voice within them, the Torah is not saying that they have to listen to their voice alone. After Rebekah declares that she wants to leave her home to meet Isaac, the next verse reads, "They sent her off, their sister Rebekah, with her nurse." When our children, at whatever age they may be, depart from us in some way, we don't have to send them out into the world alone. Rebekah's family sent her off with a nurse. It's a fitting choice. When I was in graduate school, I started to take on more adventurous travel, as some of you know I love. It was largely in part due to a friend who was also a mentor, who happened to be a doctor. As I would tell my parents that I was heading out on a sea kayaking trip into Puget Sound for days at a time where I would be out of touch, it was always smart for me to follow that sentence with, "And Dr. Kaplan will be there." Rebekah's family sends her off with a nurse. I went out into the wilderness with a doctor. Psychologist Dr. Wendy Mogul, author of a number of great books, many of them Jewish, on parenting, calls this the new angels for our children. She writes, "When teenagers head off to college, they are usually bursting with happy anticipation. But shortly thereafter, as their journey continues, they begin to doubt their navigation skills. When darkness falls, they find themselves weary and homesick. And they will often focus only on the absence of their old angels, parents, old friends, favorite teachers. But," she says, "the resilient adolescent sojourner, encouraged by an unalarmed, kind, and confident voice from a seasoned parent at home, they will find that new angels await them. When our loved ones, our kids, depart from us in some way, whether they're toddlers going to preschool or adults moving to Chicago, we set them up for success by teaching them how to find angels outside of us to rely on. Sometimes those angels may be people we know, friends or relatives we can suggest. But as Mogul points out, most of the time, we don't know who those angels will be. They have to find them on their own. So part of the journey of our loved ones' independence is a journey toward their dependence on others, not us. On a professor who becomes a mentor, on a spouse who becomes their most trusted confidant, on a doctor who helps them make important life decisions. Our challenge is learning to trust that the angels they find along their path will be as good or better for them than we are. And like biting our tongue, the theme here, not easy. The final verse that Cantor Kathy will read tonight is my favorite. Before Rebecca departs, having made her choice, and alongside her trusted angel, the nurse, her family offers her a blessing. May you grow into thousands of myriads. May your offspring seize the gates of their enemies. I know many of us said this to our kids when they went to college, just like that. We often understand this as a fancy way for the Torah to say, I want you to have lots of children, and I don't want them to get bullied. Not bad advice. It may or may not be precisely what we want for our kids. It's not the specific words that I find important. What strikes me about this blessing is that it is about the departing. It is a blessing that their journey be fruitful, not for us, but for them. The greatest blessing we can offer those who seek independence from us is our confidence that their future has the potential, not a guarantee, but the potential for blessing. And that the blessing is not ours to inherit, but theirs. That is what we want for them. But this, not easy. And so when I read the words from the Torah portion, as a departing child who enthusiastically moved away to college, I love them. They embrace independence. They encourage our children to seek out that independence, to rely on angels other than their parents, and to be hopeful about their future. What is missing is the great challenge we face in letting them go. Biting our tongues, allowing our kids to rely on others, promising them a blessed future, all of these techniques come with a bit of heartache. For we cannot be sure that they will make the right decision if we don't speak up. We cannot be sure that they will find the mentor who will be their angel, guiding them in the right path, and we can't, in fact, promise them that their future will be only a blessing. What is left for us when those we love take some small or large departure is faith. And so what is missing from the passage for me are the words that those left behind need to hear. So I want to close with words that I wish were there in some way, words that have been written by Alden Solovey, who I often refer to. I've adapted them slightly. He calls this a parent's prayer. God, my child is leaving home to begin the adventure of an independent life. Be her compass. Be his shield. Lead them on a path to discovery. Bless her with mentors and teachers. Give him companions and friends, scholars and rabbis to support and guide them along their way. In this marvel, in this glorious moment of growth fulfilled, my heart struggles with contradictions. Pride and fear, joy and grief, love and loss. God, give me the wisdom and strength to honor my own life with gentleness and courage, and to embrace the beauty and promise of the time to come. As she sets out on this new stage of life, keep her safe under the canopy of peace. Lead him back home to me often. And with them, bring stories of marvelous moments, an amazing discovery that they have experienced. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who watches over the lives of our children. Amen. We turn now to our Torah as we share that story, a story that I'm sure many of us could repeat in our own ways through the departures of those whom we've loved. as we share the words that tell us of the departure of Rebecca. Please rise as we turn to page 246 and begin our Torah service.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, le'amor Yisrael bikedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadolu Adonai Iti, Uneromema Shemo Yaktav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagevura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Ki Cho B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha V'Hamitnaseh L'chol erosh.
Please be seated.
Please join me in the blessing on page 250. Baruch hu Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vaikru l'Rivka v'yomru eleha, talchi im ha'ish hazeh, v'tomer al elech, v'yishachu et Rivka achotam, v'et menikta, v'et eved Abraham, v'et anashav, v'yirachu et Rivka v'yomru la achotenu, et hayil alfei rivava, v'yirash zerev, et sha'ar sonav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet v'yachei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Following her response that she will, in fact, leave her home, Rebecca goes out and meets Isaac. They fall in love. It's one of our few stories where they tell us that they fall in love. She's riding a camel on her way to go meet her groom. I don't know if they rode camels or not. I imagine not. But Lori and Steve are celebrating their 40th anniversary. Probably met a slightly different way than Rebecca and Isaac. But we'd like to invite them up on this celebration of their 40th anniversary. We offer a blessing over them with this story. Couldn't be a more fitting story of people who found love, as we're in the great stories of Genesis, to have the story of Isaac and Rebecca, and the blessing of Steve and Lori. So please join us, and if you'll take hold of the Torah, we'll let you hold on to the Torah as we offer a shakianu over you. We encourage everybody to join together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Mazel tov.
You have many more adventures ahead, camel riding or otherwise. That's all.
think not.
I know. Mazel tov to you. With our Torah out, with the blessing of marriage and companionship, both in our story and in our community, we offer that strength, the healing strength that we have among us to those who are in need of just such healing, with the words of Misha Berach, page 253.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
If there are names you'd like to share as I look around the room, please feel free to say them aloud. Edwin Fleet.
Berach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
Please rise as we return the Torah to the ark.
V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. La 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Et chaim hi lemachzikima v'tomecha meusha deracheha derechei noam v'chol netivotah shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kaddish, Kaddish Yameinu, Kaddish Yameinu, Kekedem. Page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latekedu la liotzer reshit, shelo asanu kiyoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kachamonam, v'nachnu kori, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
We turn our thoughts and prayers to those that we've lost. This week in our congregation, it's always painful to lose loved ones and to lose people who've been a part of our congregation for generations. And as those of you who know, who joined us at funerals or who receive our emails, we lost a number of people this week. And so it has been a week of grieving for many in our congregation. When I die, we ask that you give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone. Give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. So look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. For you can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting go of children that need to be free. For love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, we ask that you give me away. This week, we remember those that we've lost in these previous weeks in the last month. Sidney Dambrot, Stanley Marks, Nat Givner, Marty Newman, Kenneth Wolf, and David Stein. We add to their names those that we lost at this season in years past. Shlomo Adler, Dr. Guillermo Alfonso, Louis H. Aronson, Selma Baer, Betty Barnett, Dr. Milton Cooper, Robert Ruby Fox, Silva Hirsch Gibbons, Shirley F. Gilbert, Lily R. Goldberg, Dorothy Goldenberg, James H. Johnson, Sandra Lycan Cranus, Sheldon Lasher, Esther Levin, Harry Lieberman, Sylvia Liverent, Louis Loeb, Jack Magalevi, Elaine Stern, Frida Stile, Agajan Yedidzion, and Morris Weiss. If there are names I mispronounced or names you'd like to share, please do so. We stand, page 294, as we connect with those that we've loved and lost through the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba. Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. B'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, as we say, amen. Amen. We turn to bless each other with the words of the priests. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May you feel God's presence within you always. May you find peace.
Amen.
Please remain standing as we'll share the words of Kaddish and Motzi together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'masi v'reishit ki hu yom techila lamikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh haShabbat. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
You did not know this, but there's been a coup in our congregation, and Bob Lazaro is back to speak on behalf of the presidents. He has returned, and they are nowhere to be found, and we don't know where they are, but he will successfully share announcements with us on this Shabbat.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. It's good to be back. We have some news and events for you to know about. Next Friday night, our Shabbat service will conclude. It'll be at the Canton Temple Israel for the installation of Rabbi David Komorowski, a former member of our temple and wonderful kid. Rabbi Emeritus David Horowitz will be doing the service down there, doing the installation. So if you can, please join us down there. On the 12th of November, we have a couple of great things going on. We're having a Meet the New Members Shabbat at 6:15 here. At the same time, we're going to have elementary school-age children. They'll have their very own special Shabbat, again, 6:15 on November the 12th. And we all look forward to joining us that night. So, thank you very much. I'm going to give it back to Elaine and Andrew.
So just to make sure people understand, for next week, service is 6 o'clock online only. We're doing 6 o'clock. We'll say just a couple brief prayers, including Kaddish, for those who want to say Kaddish and share the names from our congregation. And then at 6:15, as I like to call it, the satellite campus of Temple Israel in Canton, they begin at the same time we do every Friday night. They'll begin their service, and we will join their YouTube. So the links were sent out, I think, last week. We'll send the link out again in the coming weeks, so you'll join their YouTube. So we hope that you'll enjoy that and watch as we get the only happens a couple times perhaps in our lifetime where a child of our congregation becomes a rabbi and is installed right in our backyard. So that's a great honor. We'll close with the words of Kahila Kadosha. May we be a sacred community with each other as we go out into this Shabbat. May it be a peaceful, restful, sacred day for us and for all members of our community in the world. Please join with us.
If you are a tent, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are Atem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, whoa, yai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, wasteland.
Stand here